Well, good evening and thanks for joining us here tonight as we spotlight just some of the positive stories that are happening within our CBC family to our students, our teachers, our parents, and our alumni. Tonight, we'll take a look at just a few examples of how both our teachers and our students have risen to meet the challenges of this new norm in extraordinary ways. Tonight, we start off with a senior who stepped up almost immediately. He saw that immediate need, took it upon himself with his leadership skills, and with the help of Mr. Joe Hankin, is helping out our medical community. Here's Patrick Walsh with that story.
Ben Young is another member of our senior class, and he is doing some life-saving work during this time at home.
Recently, you may have seen on CBC's Instagram or CBC STEM's Twitter page a post about me making face shields for doctors in the St. Louis area. So I've been using CBC's 3D printers to make a bunch of face shields. Right now there's really a big shortage of personal protection equipment. A lot of doctors and nurses are taking care of COVID patients without any sort of face protection except for their masks. And we want to keep those masks as clean as possible for as long as possible. So we use one of these, a face shield. CBC, I'd like to call on you. If you have access to a 3D printer, if you have access to a laser cutter, you can help do this, all right? There are so many ways that you can help. If you want to help, please send me an email at youngb2@cbchs.org. I will send you a document of everything that you can do to help. I will send you all the files and everything you need to know about making these shields. You see, these shields are super easy to make. I'll give you everything you need to know about them. Let's see how many face shields we can make this year.
That is so impressive and a great example of what it means to be a man for tomorrow.
Ben has made PPE masks, that's personal protective equipment masks, to donate to healthcare workers around the St. Louis area. Ben, we're all so proud of the work you've been doing. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I started out, we had a goal in mind. My dad is a doctor, and he asked me to start making face shields for originally just his office. But then I realized there was a greater need around the St. Louis area for these face shields. So I talked to Mr. Hankin. We set up a meetup to get the printers to my house, and right now we've delivered, I think, almost 200. I just sent out another 20 to one of my dad's dialysis units tonight, and we've helped out a ton of hospitals all over the St. Louis and as far out as O'Fallon, Illinois, we've sent them to. So really, it doesn't take a whole lot of time to make each one. Each one is on average about 30 minutes to make. And if I need to get 30 done in a day, I can get 30 done in a day.
So how did you come up with this? Did you see a design online, or did you design it all yourself?
I found the design file online, but I had to do a lot of work to see what the CDC guidelines were for face shields, what all I had to have to actually make them for a healthcare setting. And one of the big problems I faced was finding material availability for the visor part that goes over your face. And given that there's already a global demand for the specific plastics that are used in face shield production, I had to find something that I could use that was already available and that I could have access to. So I think that was one of the bigger problems I faced trying to figure out which design I was going to use.
That's awesome. And Mr. Hankin, I've taken many of your classes, and what you've really tried to teach us is that we can teach you equations and programs and all this stuff, but it doesn't matter unless you practically apply it in real life. You want to talk a little bit about that and how Ben is doing that?
Well, I think that's the whole intent of education, right? I mean, any of those equations that you mentioned or anything, we can look those up. But what Ben is doing for his dad and for others is you just can't really teach that, right? It has to be the way he's kind of figured out his need, the way he's, he tried several different designs first until he got one. He did his research. And as you know, Joe, the engineering design process, he's right in line with that. And to this day, I just got an email from somebody who is soliciting feedback and was asking for more masks because the ones she's got were so helpful. And she said, oh, could we, and she's making tweaks to the thing. And we've been working on our logistics for design, for releasing them to the public and everything. So yeah, as far as what I'm trying to teach in engineering, this is a perfect example. And yes, I have kids at home doing other projects, but none are as authentic as this.
Mr. Hankin, how else have you seen students using their STEM skills and continuing their education at home? Because, we have a great makerspace at school. How can they do that without all that awesome tech?
Well, so in Ben's case, we were able to bring 2 of our printers to his house, and he actually has used them enough that he knows how to kind of keep them running well. I've also been at the school several times to distribute certain tools to other students. My POE 2 class, my engineering 2 class, they are continuing to work on their projects. I am expecting really no change in scope to any of their projects, maybe a couple who are working with a group. But other than that, they're all pretty much moving forward with the same thing. One of the things that I've always said, Joe, and you took POE 2, is my job to stay out of your way, right? Remove the roadblocks and stay out of the way. Well, what better way is there to stay out of the way than to be home for a month, right? Yeah. So I check in on them a couple times a week, and I just want to make sure that they have what they need. I want to make sure that there's nothing kind of standing in their way. And what we're seeing is these students are making remarkable things and doing, they're doing great stuff.
Ben, we're all really proud of you. You are an example of what it means to be a man for tomorrow.
As we entered the 4th week of e-learning at CBC, it was evident that many of our yearly functions would be postponed. That includes the presentation of the Josh Seidel Award. This past week, Joe Hankin presented the Josh Seidel Award via a Zoom meeting to Ben Young.
Tonight, we celebrate one student whose decision to not sit idle during this pandemic has been positive and meaningful. When faced with challenge, Ben Young has seized the opportunity and made a difference. Typically, the STEM award would be announced at the year-end STEM banquet and then acknowledged again at graduation, but this is not a typical year. The Joshua M. Seidel Award is given to a CBC senior for aptitude, interest, and achievement in the combined areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. A member of the class of 1997, Josh excelled in the field of engineering before losing his life in a workplace accident. For the CBC class of 2020, this award is presented to Benjamin Orion Young. This award is not only based on Ben's recent activities, of course, but it is the culmination of a body of work and the dedication in STEM activities throughout his high school career. Ben has been very active in CBC's makerspace since his freshman year, and since then, through many projects, classes, and activities, his skills and confidence have continued to grow and develop. Ben has been an instrumental part of CBC Robotics for several years and has shined as a member of the Arch Engineering Design Competition team. Of course, we cannot overlook his recent efforts and contributions. CBC's vision of a man for tomorrow states, CBC will create positive change in our community and world through the lives of our graduates, young men who are guided by faith, strengthened by intellect, committed to justice, and prepared to lead and serve. Ben's actions clearly exemplify those tenets. His technology-based response to an authentic problem, helping those in need and leaving through service, can stand as a model for all cadets. His actions have been impactful and appreciated across the region. The Josh Seidel Memorial Foundation motto is, work hard, play hard, help others. This slogan is so fitting for Ben because so often his work, play, and service all take place in the same location. I'd like to invite Eric Trost of the foundation to say a few words. Eric?
Thanks, Joe, and congratulations, Ben. This is extremely well-deserved. And keep it short and sweet, but just so impressed with your character and everything that you've accomplished and just everything that you stand for. We couldn't be more proud of you, and the quality of candidates that continue to work their way through CBC and find a foundation in what they love to do. So again, congratulations, Ben, from all of us at the Josh Seidel Memorial Foundation. We're so happy for you to receive this award.
Thanks, Eric, and thanks to the foundation for all your support you've given CBC and the STEM Academy. In conclusion, sometimes things just come together and seem to fit just right. When you consider the objectives of the CBC STEM Academy, the vision of a man for tomorrow, the slogan of the Josh Seidel Memorial Foundation, and the description of the Josh Seidel Award, I think we can agree Ben Young is a perfect fit. Congratulations, Ben. Thanks for your hard work and dedication, and best of luck in your future endeavors. We look forward to great things.
Well, e-learning has created many challenges, but has also created many unique opportunities. As I mentioned at the open of the show here tonight, our Fine and Performing Arts Department has faced these challenges head on, as our band and choir program has not let this stop them as they are preparing for a virtual concert coming up on May 3rd. Talk to us about some of the challenges that we as a Fine and Performing Arts group have in this new world of e-learning.
Yeah, it's definitely been challenging. It's kind of forced us to be way more creative in kind of what we do with our students and how we can still showcase the student work that's being produced out there. So I know Dale and Charlie have come up with a really great idea of how we can showcase all the musical talents here that we have at CBC.
Real quickly, talk to us about the other aspects of Fine and Performing Arts, and this ranges from theater to drawing to painting to ceramic. Walk us through what's being done in those.
Yeah, the actors have still been performing. I think they've been filming and sending in videos of themselves, performing monologues and doing some improv work. Artists have still been producing artwork, and they've been taking photos of their work kind of as they work on it, kind of in stages, and then sending in their selfies of them holding their final art pieces, and we've been showcasing those on our Instagram account.
And one more question before we let you go today. We know you're really busy with your classes and everything else at CBC, is that this is really a time when Fine and Performing Arts are stepping up around the world. You see the creative aspects of what everybody is doing and the creative content that people just want. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think we've kind of seen that when we're kind of in isolation, that the arts can kind of bring us all together. That, what would our quarantine look like if we didn't have music to listen to, we didn't have books to read, and we didn't have TV and movies to watch while we're all stuck at home. So I think that's just kind of lays the groundwork for, the importance of the arts and all aspects to kind of as a release and kind of a stress reducer, and just kind of to bring joy to our lives when, we can't really get out and be around people. At least the arts can kind of bring us all together in a way.
Well, Maggie, we appreciate your time. We'll be talking to you over the next couple of weeks about many other aspects of what we have at CBC. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And now we turn our attention to Dale Sharkey and Charlie Miller. Let's talk about your project and your challenges that you are facing to bring this monumental event, something different that you've probably never experienced in your careers, to the community, to the public, to our schools, to our students.
Well, I think one thing that's really become apparent over the last few days, the last couple of weeks anyways, is the prevalence of performers going online and doing streaming performances from their homes, and even doing performances where they are syncing things up with other musicians in other locations. And I think what we're doing inadvertently is kind of emulating that and giving our students a real world perspective on trying to do the same kind of thing that professionals are doing, in doing that kind of synchronization and having to do their own production of their own songs, their own videos, and their own parts at home, and getting those to us to be able to put together into one cohesive unit.
And Charlie, yourself, I know you do a lot of productions around town, and you're involved in this in many different aspects. These are challenging times, especially when it comes to music and vocals and laying all those tracks and getting everybody in sync.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to learn because you've been seeing online, on Instagram, on YouTube, you've been seeing a prevalence of streaming choirs and virtual choirs. And one thing I'm learning is how difficult that is to put together and to have everything sync up and feel like everybody's singing at one time. But I'm also so inspired by all of the output we're seeing from all of these different universities, all these different professionals that are putting out these great ideas of how to allow vocal music to connect with everybody who's stuck in quarantine right now.
And that is one of the neat things about what you two are doing right now. We're going to bring in a couple students right now to talk a little bit about their experience and how they're handling this whole situation. But Dale, when you look at how challenging this is and thinking outside of the box, and the students really getting to see practical applications through everything that we teach them at CBC, and learning on your own and becoming a man for tomorrow, these are exactly the things that we teach.
Absolutely. I think one thing that's really come to the forefront is the students are having to be very self-sufficient with this. We can't be in their home with them, showing them exactly how to submit these videos to us and audios, and they've really had to troubleshoot things and kind of figure out how to make it happen on their own. And I mean, that's what we all do in the world every day, is how do we fit in and how do we get done the things that need to get done. And they're experiencing that firsthand without someone holding their hand, like often happens.
And one student who is facing that right now is senior Brady Feeney, who is joining us. He's in the jazz band. He plays trumpet, does a lot of other things around CBC. Glad you could join us here today, Brady.
Glad to be here. How are you doing?
We're great. So talk to us a little bit. Now let's let Dale and Charlie ask you a few questions also, but talk to us about some of the challenges that you're facing. Is this an exciting time for you in the world of music?
I would definitely say it's exciting, seeing how we can overcome these obstacles. We've never been in a situation like this before, and using technology to show what musical talents we have is definitely something that I never thought would be able to be done, but it's working out, and I'm actually really liking it. So,
Brady, maybe kind of if you can highlight to us one of the big challenges of having to, what you guys are doing is playing along with a professional track, and maybe kind of talk about the challenges that you're having as a musician to play along with that professional track, and what just the things that you didn't expect that it has kind of thrown curveballs.
Yeah, for sure. Well, just one thing, the professional tracks doesn't sound a lot like how we play it. So that's one of the things that's hard to, get an idea of how to play it, or to play it exactly similar to what the professional track is doing. Because, we're a high school jazz band. These people are playing on the professional track, or they're professionals. So, and, piecing that all together into a song that would be good for listeners at home. That I know that's definitely a challenge for Mr. Miller and Mr. Sharkey, especially also a challenge for people at home trying to play it, the musicians, just because we don't have any other of our bandmates playing with us either. So it's us trying to play along with professional musicians we've never played with before. So it is difficult in that sense.
Well, Brady, we appreciate your time. I know you've got a lot of schoolwork to get to. Thank you very much for joining us here on the show. And we look forward to a great show on May 3rd as we hear you and the rest of the band and the choir perform. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Brady mentioned this is an exciting time for everybody. Also challenging, but exciting.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking to the students for them to show these new creative ideas. And in the performance, the audience that's watching is going to be able to see some of the ways that they really come up with these great ideas and have been really resilient in finding ways to sing together, even if they're not in the same space together.
Yeah, and joining us now, we have Evan Rhoda, who is, I can't even list the amount of drum
Hang on, I can't get it.
you are in. Dale, he's one of your students. Let's talk to Evan a little bit about being a drummer myself. I know somewhat of the backbone of the beat of the music to keep everybody on track. How important is it for what he is doing right now?
Well, obviously, like you said, the drummer is the backbone of something like a jazz band. And I think it's really important that when they're laying down these tracks, that the drum track is solid. And I guess I would just ask Evan, how challenging have you found it to be to play along with this track? Because it's not forgiving and it's not going to fluctuate and follow you. You have to follow it and be right on. So how challenging has that been for you?
Well, for a song that we're playing like Angel Eyes, I'm used to playing along with Hobart's solo that he's sort of made his own, and getting used to a different version of that has been a little difficult.
So in terms, Evan, of looking at this as something for building for the future and taking and learning from this and taking this into your adult life, this e-learning and constructing things on your own and your own time, how's this all been for you?
It's been a different experience, but I think it's a good experience to have because you've had that experience and now you can be prepared for anything that might happen in the future, anything similar. You have this behind you, so you know what you're doing if it ever happens again.
Evan, when you're not able to be around a group of guys like you are with a band, it's kind of like KCBC and sports teams where you are around these guys all the time, including Mr. Sharkey and Mr. Miller. How much do you miss that interaction?
I have to say I miss it a lot. I think I took it for granted a lot because it's just always been there pretty much every day for the last 4 years. And it's weird not having it for sure. I can't wait to get back into something like that when this is all over.
Well, Evan, we appreciate your time here joining us this afternoon. We know you have a lot of things to do with your school, CBC schoolwork. So we look forward to hearing you and seeing you on this big concert on May 3rd. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Dale and Charlie, and that's a testament to what you guys do on a daily basis. You know, we talk about that camaraderie, the friendships that are created within the band and choir, and Evan and Brady both talked about that. How important is it for you guys, and how much do you miss it?
The weirdest thing for me is a lot of times as a teacher, your students drive you crazy. And, you know, they can be frustrating, but at the same time, you love them in many ways like your own children. And it's just kind of really highlighted to me that even though I have frustrations with the students, I miss that. I miss the challenges of dealing with those frustrations and dealing with the challenges that ensue from being in a collaborative environment with somebody in such a close basis. And this is, I was just thinking yesterday how bizarre it is that I haven't had any face-to-face contact with a human besides the two people that live in my house for a month. Like you see somebody walking down the street and you're like, oh, there's a person. Like I used to think when I saw a deer walking out behind my house.
And Charlie, as we start to wrap things up here, you know, we talk about that creative part of the fine and performing arts, is that a lot of it is human connection. When you're singing, you're playing off what you're hearing of somebody else. When you're playing music, you're playing and adjusting your tempo and everything to what other people are doing. When you don't have that, it's a different world.
It really is. And so much of sort of the magic that's created in Brothers in Harmony is being on the risers next to each other, everybody singing together, sort of adapting to what the other singers are doing to create this one final piece of music that we're performing. Along with that camaraderie that comes with Brothers in Harmony, especially being an X period class, it's how I end my school day. It's how those students end their school day. And I definitely do miss that sort of coming together to create music, to sort of put a cap on the end of the day. But I think we are finding ways to sort of recreate that camaraderie in new, inventive ways for this concert.
Gentlemen, as we wrap things up here today, we appreciate your time. We appreciate everything you're doing for the CBC students, parents, community. Dale, tell us when this concert is going to debut and what people can expect.
Well, if everything goes according to plan, it'll be Sunday, May the 3rd at 7 o'clock. I think in terms of what to expect, I'm not really sure because we're really very early in the process of putting it together. I think it will be something very different than we've obviously ever seen or heard before from our students. And I just think it'll be something that we'll go into with an open mind just to see what happens and what we come up with. And I think between now and then, what's going to happen in our minds is going to change as we pull all these parts together and start syncing them up. I think we'll see some different things kind of come to light.
And Charlie, I know you have already had to adapt a little bit off the original plan, but that's what makes this unique and different. And I think that's what's going to make this show that you guys are putting on fun and interesting for everybody, because it's going to be something a little different from everybody.
Definitely. I'm already veering away from what our original concert repertoire was going to be for this year due to some of the limitations and editing and technology required. But I feel like I've come up with some ways to really showcase all of the students and to showcase our seniors, this being their final performance of their high school.
Well, we look forward, gentlemen. Sunday, May 3rd, 7 p.m. We appreciate your time and thanks for everything you do for CBC and the Fine and Performing Arts Department. Once again, that performance will be on May 3rd at 7 p.m. Can't wait to see it. As you know, CBC is dedicated to building a platform where our students are truly men for tomorrow. And that is truly evident with junior Gabe Kodada as he prepares for his senior year as an SLC leader and a new way of taking AP exams. Gabe, first off, congratulations on your election to the SLC Leadership Board. Honor and a privilege. And let's talk a little bit about the honors program. You're involved. You're in AP American History and several other classes. And AP tests are actually going to be online this year. Explain for us how that will work.
With our exams this year, obviously CBC is going to try to take a different approach on how we go about that, but the AP isn't going to slow down for anyone. So what the AP is currently doing, they've kind of downsized our current test, which would be around like 3 hours, and they've kind of just compressed it into a 45-minute test. So we have one essay to get all our AP credits for each class.
And in your estimation, being part of that program, how does that affect how you approach that testing?
How we approach the testing, especially for American history, is Mr. Nicoletti has been giving us basically a practice AP test every single class period. So even going into the test, we're already going to be prepared for like the time budgeting and like how we have to go about thinking when we're taking the test.
And for the individuals who are watching this that are not part of the student body family of CBC, explain the difference between a regular course and an AP course at CBC.
A regular course at CBC is definitely more tailor-fitted to the individual needs for each student. But with the AP course, what we do is the teacher has to get us on a learning basis that's standardized with the rest of the nation. And what that usually evolves to is that we're at a lot more of a rapid pace with our learning, and we prepare for the test from the first day on instead of just preparing lessons. Everything is in the means to just get to the test.
When you look at CBC's motto of Men for Tomorrow, Brothers for Life, and you look at taking courses like this, how much does leadership and AP and these courses put together prepare you for the next step in life?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Being an AP, especially during this year, I remember freshman year, it's always hard getting into it, but especially this year with COVID-19 and everything going on, being a leader and stepping up, taking initiative and helping other students who are maybe faltering a little bit in their classes is going to be extremely important, because none of us can really do this by ourselves right now. This is new for all of us. So the initiative that we're learning right now that CBC is kind of getting us into the habit of is going to prepare us in the future to help others and also be able to accept help.
Through your experiences with e-learning and what we're going through right now, and you being a junior, talk to us about what you foresee for your senior year.
Going into my senior year, I think that obviously the school is going to be a lot different because everything's going to be a lot different. I do think that all the teachers that we have that I have right now are keeping it consistent to their previous study plans. So everything that they're doing is preparing me for my senior year. Same thing with like SLC, same thing with all my AP classes. Everything we're doing is going to prepare us for next year. And I think going into senior year, when everything normalizes again, I think that we will be ready for it.
As we started the interview, we talked about your election to the SLC Leadership Board. Tell us what that means for the individual who doesn't know about the Leadership Board, and what's it mean to you personally to head into your senior year as part of this select few?
I think that maybe at other schools, student council, as they'll call it, just kind of plans 1 week, like they'll plan a spirit week, and they just check the box and they're done. But I think at our school, like especially Student Leadership Council, every single day that we're in a meeting, we're planning something for the future. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. We're always trying to plan things that enrich student life, be it through mission, service, or dances or tailgates. Everything that we do is meant for the betterment of the students. And for me personally, being a part of the Spirit Committee as the Spirit Chairman really does mean a lot, because it is in my job now to not only ensure the betterment of all our student body, but to also have a good connection with the teachers and other schools as well.
And how proud are you right now to be a CBC cadet as we go through a time such as we are right now, using your leadership skills and what you've learned through your 3 years so far at CBC? How valuable are those for you right now?
I think that just being a CBC cadet and seeing all the rest of the cadets around me has made me better. We have students that are making 3D printed masks to help with the COVID-19 outbreak. We've had students who have started their own charitable organizations, such as like Serving Servicemen. And just being around guys like that every single day pushes me to want to be that guy who like makes the next thing that helps other people.
As you can see from tonight's show, e-learning has been challenging for everyone, but it has also created extraordinary stories of leadership from both our teachers and our students. As we continue down this path for the remainder of this school year, we will continue to spotlight stories that show our students at CBC are truly men for tomorrow and brothers for life. For more information on CBC, you can visit cbchs.org.